What's up, y'all? It's your boy Yang here on the Berries channel, and today we are going to be talking about the concept of failing forward. But before we start, I want to let you guys know that this video is for you if you are employed, you own a business, you take care of a kid, you play multiple games, you have multiple things going on in your life, whether it's family, friends, or work. So you don't have enough time to play Marvel Rivals, but you still want to get better. If this sounds like you, then stick around for the rest of the video so I can drop this knowledge on how to fail forward and actually progress in the game despite having limited time. So let's get into this, right? Here we have the basic perception of the ranked experience, right? Or the perception of somebody who realizes, hey, I like this game, right? Down here. I really like this game, but I just realized I suck. Like I don't like the experience that I'm having and I want to improve. And as you climb up through that ladder, when you get through different areas, right, you start to sweat. Like you start to have to learn new things, learn new concepts, and the game gets very difficult because down here it was just chaos. It was just madness. I just had to deal with the crazies. But as you get further up, it's like, oh, there's so much thinking and skill involved. And of course, when you get to that peak, right, which is, you hit beyond GM, your Celeste, Eternity, whatever, whatever top 500 or whatever. Now you feel this sense of relief. You feel like I could celebrate. I feel like, wow, things are going to just be so amazing. They're going to be so great when I get up here. I remember being in bronze, and now I'm celestial. And this is like the typical perception that people have about improving on a video game or just improving in Marvel Rivals. But this is how it really manifests for most people that are playing the game. It really manifests in that transition from being down in bronze to being down to being up in Celeste as pain, as despair. I'm not saying this is everyone's experience, but this is how it ends up turning out, where you're just like, whoa, am I really going to get there? Is this possible? So to get further into this, and I have to go through this preliminary knowledge before I get to the sauce of how to fail forward, because failing forward is very simple, but you have to understand certain ideologies for you to get it right. So why does this manifest like this? Why is this the experience of most people that want to get better at Marvel Rivals or any game, right? It's simply because their perception, right? Or I'll say, or the perception of how you expect to rank up, how you expect to improve, it does not meet the reality, and it hardly ever meets the reality, right? The way that it manifests, doesn't look the way it actually is. So you generate this pain, you generate this discomfort in your mind about the game because your perception of how you thought it was going to be is not the reality of what it takes to get to where you want to go. So how does this look, right? You're laying in bed, you're chilling, you're scrolling on YouTube, you're scrolling on TikTok, you're seeing all this amazing videos, all these shorts, you're just watching the long form YouTube, the 6-hour guides on how to go from being a basic Psylocke to a Lord Psylocke, or whatever character you play. And it feels so good. The dopamine is so high. The conviction is there because it's like you're hearing these things that you've never heard before. You're hearing these concepts that you've never explored. And it gives you the conviction that, oh, if I learn these things that this person told me, then I'm going to improve. So the perception of what you expect it to be when you go look at those 80 YouTube shorts in one day is that it's just going to be a straight line. Like everything is just going to go up. Like it's just learn A, B, C, D, and E, and I will be Lord Psylocke, that's celestial, and I pub stomp, and when my friends play with me, I carry them. But what does progress actually look like? Don't worry about the icons. I just have that there, right? What it actually looks like is when you go attempt these different concepts, when you go attempt to learn how to use your cooldown management, to learn your positioning, to learn what you need to do in certain situations to win, you actually fail. You actually go down. When you're conscious of the fact that, okay, I'm using this ability incorrectly, you have to go through the pain, the awareness of not improving with that cooldown or for improving in that specific area. You have to go through the issues of ironing out the kinks. So the actual growth, right? The actual perceived growth of becoming a better player, right, is really primarily these valleys, right, that are eliminating your bad habits. That's really all that's happening. You're eliminating bad habits, and before you add something, you have to eliminate it. And that doesn't look like progress. But over time, as you eliminate the bad habits, right, you just get rid of them one by one, right? This habit. As you eliminate them, your gameplay starts to improve, because most of the time it isn't that you need to know something spectacular or new. It's really just the fundamental skills that you lack in the game. And when you get to higher levels, it's more about who makes less mistakes versus who's making the most plays. You make the most plays by capitalizing off the mistakes that your opponent makes, and that's really at a higher level, but it also exists in lower elos. So the perception, let's just rewind it. How this happens is you're on TikTok trolling, you're watching this video, you feel good, like, wow, I'm really getting all this knowledge. And then when you go to implement it, it just does not end up being as fun or as simple as it looked on the internet. So why is this disconnect happening? Like, what occurs between the time that you consume this content or you consume this information that's meant to help you and the implementation of it, right? What is that disconnect that keeps you in that cycle of despair or I don't know if I can do this, right? And that thing is the loss of conviction. Conviction, right? I don't like how that one looked. Let me do it again. Conviction. Conviction is very, very, very important. Conviction is what drives you, right? It's what drives you to have confidence. It's what drives you for belief. And conviction, right? The definition of conviction is just a firmly held belief or opinion. The key word in that is firm. It's solid. Like, it's not wavering. It's not changing. It's not going to a different place, right? That's the disconnect. The conviction, the experience that you feel when you first ingest the information versus the actuality of implementing it, the discomfort of implementing it. That process, that discomfort, normally leads to people losing conviction in the information, losing conviction in themselves about what has already been proven to work. So let's explain this using the airplane analogy, right? Of how people lose conviction in the process of improving, in the process of getting better at a game or Marvel Rivals. So if you've been on an airplane before, hopefully you have, if you're watching this. If you have a PC and you haven't been on an airplane before, or you have a PS5 and you haven't been on an airplane before, I'm challenging you, please, to that money that you spend on that PS5 or that PC, please spend that money to go travel and go see the world, to go to new places, right? Now that I got that out the way, let's dig into the airplane analogy. So the airplane analogy is just basically the process. We're going to use this to explain the process of how people lose conviction. When you're at home, right? Let's start over here. When you're at home, you're like, you know what? I want to go to Paris, right? Paris seems like a very nice place. Like, for whatever reason you want to go to Paris, you can swap this with anything else that you that you like. I want to go to Paris. It feels good. So now when you decide you want to go to Paris, now you do whatever you need to do. You save your money, or you just, you're already rich, you're balling. You just, oops. Oh, scroll back to content. No. Technical difficulties. You want to go to Paris. You save up the money, right? You finally got the money, and you just buy the ticket. Yeah, we back on it. You just buy the ticket. When you buy the ticket, you have the most conviction, because now your brain is existing in that fantasy. Like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for all the things that I'm going to do when I get to Paris. You're thinking about the clothes you're going to wear, right? You're thinking about the food you're going to eat. Like, you're thinking about all the most amazing things. You're thinking about how, you know what? My wife is really gonna love me, man. Like, she's gonna love that I took her here, man. The kids are gonna be so excited, right? You're just building up all of these positive fantasies in your mind, which is good, right? Because all of these positive fantasies are building your conviction about your experience in Paris going to be good. You get all the way to the airport, and here we have the photo of the people sitting there with their luggage. Yo, in a couple 5-6 hours, I'm landing in Paris. Like, niggas is in Paris today. Like, we up. Like, come on, we different. You feeling real good. And this is where the conviction for most people get lost in the process, right? You're on the plane, right? You finally on the plane, you take off, everything's sweet. You're like, you're implementing the new, and it's how this looks in Marvel Rivals. Like, you're implementing the new strategies, and they're immediately working. Like, you're getting that quick dopamine. But then it starts to get kind of crazy, right? You start to experience turbulence. I spelled this wrong. I probably will spell it wrong. Maybe I didn't. You start to experience that turbulence, right? Things get real shaky. And now what happens, right? You're also on a plane, so you're trapped. You can't go anywhere. You literally cannot get off of the plane. You are trapped. So now your conviction can start to waver. You ever been on the plane and that turbulence hit, and you start praying because you ain't never been, we 30,000 feet in the air, and this plane is shaking like I'm in an earthquake. Like, when you experience that, right? I remember I took a flight overseas, and we had to go through a storm, and the turbulence was so bad. This lady on the plane starts throwing up. She had such a crazy anxiety attack because of how bad the turbulence was and how bad we were shaking. She started screaming and then started throwing up on the plane. It's crazy saying this out loud, but that's how much fear that produced. Now it's like, yo, you're not even all those positive thoughts you had about Paris. Like, yo, they gonna enjoy the food. They gonna, we gonna be looking fly. The wife is gonna be happy. Now it's like, oh shit, like, I might die. That's what it becomes. I might die. Death. It's over. It's done. Like, are we gonna make it? Was this my last trip? Like, am I stuck here? Like, did I sign what did I sign up for? And then you might be feeling like, dang, like, did I sabotage my family? Like, I wanted us to go to Paris so bad that I put us at risk. I put us at risk to die. All of these narratives of negativity start to manifest in your mind because you are experiencing that turbulence, and all the things that you perceived about your experience are not present right now. You're not standing in front of the Louvre. You're not eating a crepe. You're not eating a bagel, a baguette right now. You're on the plane in a little seat, and it's going crazy. And this in this area right here, this area, this is where people lose their conviction. They lose their conviction. Plane crashes are extremely rare. They are extremely rare, statistically extremely rare. But now that you are experiencing turbulence, you're like, yo, I might be that 0.1% that dies on a plane. And then suddenly, before you know it, the turbulence is gone, and now you're about to land, and you're just like, your brain completely forgot. It completely forgets about the turbulence, right? And it goes back to thinking of, yo, you actually get fulfilled. You actually start to feel joy. You actually start to feel a form of enlightenment. Like, wow, like we made it. Like you start to feel cheery. You start to feel like, wow, like this is just amazing. Like I did it. Like we did it. We're here. And the reality of what's happening most of the time, right? This is the cycle of us, of you wanting something, the process of you getting something, and then you arriving. But a lot of times people get stuck. They get stuck right here. They get stuck here. And then what happens is you experience a form of purgatory, because your brain gets stuck in the negative manifestations, the negative experiences that you're having in the game, that you're having in that process. People are calling you a thrower. People are cussing you out on the game. They're saying you suck. You're seeing your stats go down. You're seeing your rank go down. And all of these things that are happening, your brain is perceiving them as negative. And then you start to build a negative ideology about the game. You start to think that you can't improve. You start to think that you are different. You are the 0.1% that can't improve at the game, that can't get better and go beyond the rank that you're at. And that's completely false. So meanwhile, you're seeing people every single day landing the plane. They're watching the same content as you. You guys are all experiencing the same initial conviction. But in that process, you get stuck and they end up landing, and you see, dang, like my friend done made it to Celestial. My friend done made it to Diamond. My friend is one eternity above, or this streamer did this, and that. And it starts to create an even more negative ideology experience in your brain, and you really get stuck in this turbulence. So how does all of this equate to failing forward, right? And this is where we kind of land the plane, where we get simple to how you could practically use this, right? Because we talk a lot about fundamentals, right? So there's fundamentals in game. This is like fundamentals of your ideology, right? If you could work on your fundamentals of how you perceive the game, how you perceive progress, the fundamentals of getting better, and the even down to the micro, gets easier to perform. You want to work on your beliefs. You want to work on what you think about the game, how you perceive the game, before you get into the nitty gritty of the game, because that's what's going to test you. So failing forward is just simply remaining calm through the turbulence. And that simply is just maintaining your conviction. You understand that the evidence already exists. They have the eternity rank for a reason. It exists. Players come in and out of eternity every single day. Some people stay there, of course. Some people don't. But the evidence is already there that you can start from bronze and make it all the way to the top. Of course, there are other factors that go into it. There are other factors that may alter it. The time that you have available, the coaching that you may or may not have available to you, your hardware. Like if you're playing at 40 frames per second, it's going to be much harder to compete against somebody that's, on their PC that's pushing at 240 FPS. Everybody has their own fundamental baseline of how quickly they learn, how rapidly they adjust to things. Some people adjust faster, some people adjust slower. So failing forward is really all about maintaining your conviction. So you have to keep that belief despite the negative evidence that occurs in the game, right? So when you are having this experience, right, the reason why being calm is such a underrated aspect of failing forward is that being calm is what keeps your conviction. Because when you're deranking, as you learn, the game is telling you, well, you lost, so you need to be deranked, right? If you're calm, you understand I'm temporarily deranking so I can never be in this rank again, right? It manifests as like making a ton of mistakes, which is like, damn, like, I messed up here, I messed up there. But that's building your awareness of what doesn't work or what can work, right? You also go through the experience of feeling stuck, where you might bounce from gold 2 to or gold 2 to plat 2 for a whole season. It could be a season, it could be a week, it could be whatever. It's different for everybody, right? It can manifest yourself as being stuck. And you could feel like, I'm never going to get better. I'm never going to break out of this. I'm never going to do blah, 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 blah. And when you have those negative ideologies, it removes the conviction. It removes the fact that there's already there's already proof evidence every single day that you can make progress and get better at the game. And this really is the last statement that I'll make, is that failing forward is literally just following the process with conviction. There's that YouTube video that you watch, of someone, the 6-hour video of bronze to GM in 8 hours, right? And they actually give you some type of like, they give you some type of like practical information, right? You watch that video and you start to implement it. They ironed out a process for you to go from point A to point B. All you have to do is maintain the conviction. How it manifests is going to be different for everybody. It's going to look different for everybody. But I can tell you right now that the perception that most people have of this straight line is not accurate. Most likely what it's really going to look like is like this. You might go up a little bit, and then you might fall off. It looks just like this. And in this process, also, you got to understand though too, like in this process of improving, like this might just be your progress on your rank, right? This is your process for your rank. When you first start learning, you might just be going down. You might spend some time trending down in rank, right? But what do these valleys look like? Let's talk about that. What do these valleys look like where you're going down in rank? In your rank, the first thing that reason why you might be going down is that you don't know the hero you want to play. You're trying to figure out your hero. You're trying to figure out, who do I like playing, who do I enjoy. So your hero progress looks like this is the same thing. You're going down, and then you find somebody, and now you're like, oh, I'm up. In this process right here, that's contributing to the D rank, right? Because you don't know who you want to play. Now you know how you want to play. So now, right? I'll say hero selection. Hero selection. We'll leave it at so. Now we might go to hero cooldowns. You're learning the player. Now, you might have, let's say hero cooldowns. You might have cooldown. Let's say cooldown 1. And then let's say cooldown 2. Cooldown 1 could be just be simple. It could be like, oh, when I see this person do this, I do this. Right? It could just be like win the Magneto shield. You could have something that looks like this. But cooldown 2 is a little bit different. Cooldown 2 is a little bit more intricate because there's more things involved, right? In cooldown 2, you could be going down for a long time, because what also could be happening in these valleys is that you are playing harder characters. So this could be in gold. Oh, this looks bad. Hold on. In gold, you might have to bubble just on main, right? You bubble yourself. You're just bubbling yourself. But in plat or diamond, right? Bubbling, you have to know when to bubble yourself. So now your cooldown 2 might be stagnant, because you have to learn how to bubble your teammates at the correct time and not just yourself. So that's gold, and then that's diamond, right? And this is the patterns that are happening. And as we get more and more fractal, you start to see how there's so many things at play besides just your rank. And this is just hero cooldowns. Now it's like we can do the same thing, where it's like it could be hero positioning. And you might have a fundamental, oh, I need to be in this area. I need to be a flank character at this person. But it's like, you could just, you have your fundamental positioning. And then you can have your situational positioning. And then you can have your composition positioning, which is just like when you're playing against or with certain heroes, you might have to do something. So your fundamental positioning, that process could look like this. Oh, hold on. That process might look like this. Right? And your situational positioning could be like this. It could go up like, oh, I'm in diamond, and oh shit, game starts getting harder, and I start going against different comps. Now I'm back up. Or your situational positioning, because you're going through different experiences, and then your composition positioning could be like this. It could be you're just trending up for a long time, and then a meta change happens, and now it starts going like this. And then another meta change happens, or a player buff happens. And these are these different peaks and valleys that you're going through, right? When we zoom out, you're going through all of these different valleys and changes. And that is these are the leading indicators, right, of change to your rank. Because as you eliminate bad habits, as you eliminate different issues that you have, right, it doesn't always manifest as a positive binary outcome. All right, I got better at using my bubble. It took me 3 games. This pen sucks. It took me, let me zoom in a little bit. It took me 3 games. It took me 3 games to learn Magneto bubble. Right? It just looks bad. Okay, it looks 3 games to learn Magneto bubble. And in those 3 games, I lost though. I deranked. But now, since I know how to use this bubble better, I'm gonna start going up slightly. Until I get to a new situation where I have to use Magneto Bubble against a Iron Fist composition where there's a bunch of divers. Now, I don't know how to play against those divers, so my Mag Bubble against divers goes down until I figure it out and it gets better. And this cycle just keeps happening over and over and over again. And this is what is happening in the real process of improving. And it just does not look pleasant. It does not feel like that moment where you're sitting there and you're just watching the meme. You know, you're watching the GM guide. It doesn't feel that way. So to end this, because I know this has been a super long video, but I feel like this is just necessary. The process of becoming better at a game, whether you have the time or you don't have the time, right? If you are employed, it looks like having the awareness of your experience and maintaining conviction about what you want to come out of the game. If you want to just go, hey, I only have 2 hours a week to play the game. If I make it to gold, I'm happy. Cool. Find that process, the process that you can get from bronze to gold, and just maintain the conviction about it and understand that you will land the plane. And don't get stuck in the negative outcomes, teammates flaming you, losing games, deranking, all the things that can be perceived negative, because those are the things that hold you back. Those are the things that keep you in purgatory, that keep you stuck in the turbulence. But when you can relax, you know at the end of the day you are going to land. So that's the video for today. It's your boy Yang, man. I appreciate you. If you stay for this video, I guarantee that you will rank up, you will get better, and you will generally have a better experience in competitive games. Yeah, I want to know what you guys think in the comments. If you like these type of in-depth videos, just let us know, and Smooth and I will make some more.